Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button and keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy. Alright folks, here we are after market close on Tuesday, September 19th. We're going to take an updated look at Biocept today. So Biocept had this big push. The last time that we charted it, we noted that there's this gap from about 122 down to about 86, 87. And it's dipped into there a couple of times with the wicks of these candles, but certainly hasn't made any definitive push into the gap. So obviously that would be quite a retracement to the bears, but for the time being, staying pretty succinctly far away from that. And I wanted to come in and just sort of check in on the levels, see if there are some additional levels we want to put in. I would say, just based on what I see here immediately on the daily, I would like to put a level in here because you see the top of this candle body, the bottom of this candle body, and the top of today's candle body. So 3 out of the 4 recent candles on the daily have had a very sort of interesting pivot point at that level of 152. So very close to where we finished the day today. Nothing else that really stands out a ton to me at the moment. And you see it continuing to try to push through that 171 toward that 182 and just continuously getting shrugged off. It had that 185 grab up there, but then very quickly pulled back. And at that point then even pulled back in subsequent days all the way down to 115. So huge fluctuations percentage-wise on those days. This was a plus 59% day, and then just a minus 3, plus 3, and then a plus 15, 1, almost 10, almost 9. And then today, just, pretty flat today. So putting ourselves on the 10-minute chart here to see, let's scroll back a few days to just see how it's treating these levels, building a base over this 145 into open, working through these levels nicely, hitting resistance a few levels up at 162, shrugging it off, finding support, and then finding additional support here into close, coming in, not being able to hold that 171, that's what we were just talking about, coming down, trying to catch this 162, slipping, catching this 155 area, and then batting around between that and 162, which in and of itself, it's a pretty decent percentage swing just intraday to bat itself around repeatedly. Now coming in today, 152, strong push all the way through 126, all the way through 171 briefly at least. Can't quite get as much mojo as it did yesterday. And then coming off and just, I guess, sort of trying to grab support here, but falling right through, catching support ultimately at this 155 level, and then slipping to this 152 level as the day proceeded, and then finishing off, as you see, 150 on the dot. So that's pretty good intraday as far as I can tell between what's happening on the 10 minutes and what we've plotted on the daily. So I'm sort of interested to see how much the bulls get burned out of trying to continuously push these wicks up through that 171 level and then just continuously getting sold off. At what point do they sort of lose their gusto and just get burned out from trying to push the price up there and then just sort of give way to the bears? I don't know if that's what's going to happen, but that's kind of what's on my mind at the moment. We'll see. Now flipping over here to the think or swim study, just keep in mind this is on the hour time frame, and we see on those days of strength, so we had a lengthy trigger period here on the TTM squeeze indicator, and then a sideways period as it fired, but then a nice move up. So nice from the mid-range here all the way up, pushed through the channel, pulled back, which is what we look for as something pushes through the channel, pulled back to the mid-range, found clear support at the mid-range, kind of rode the wave, little dip, but very quickly recovered as it was once again triggering on the TTM squeeze indicator, and then another fire and a nice move up out of the channel again, pulled back to the mid-range, big slip here on the mid-range, and really almost falling, fairly close, at least for it being one big candle, fairly close to the lower bound of that channel, while it once again started to trigger. So a lot of sort of triggering candles happening. You see them again today. Brief fire here that resulted in a few big candlesticks, but nothing super major, if we could coin that phrase. But triggering and then briefly firing into close today. So we'll see if that amounts to anything as we head into tomorrow. We see it did late in the day also slip the mid-range of the channel here. So if that results in any additional bearish push, that could be interesting. There is this 180 to 200 EMA cloud sort of swooping in, which could provide additional strong support. If it is going to reach that, we'll see if it gets into that realm, what support that lends. I will say, I don't know how comparable this is, but was watching T2 Biosystems today, and that came down to its cloud, though it was on the 10-minute time frame, and it just wasn't able to hold it, so it didn't offer much hefty support there at all, to be honest. But this is on the hour, so this might, be a little bit more oomph worthy. And so yeah, so it's sort of pinned to the mid-range with these kind of wild movements in between, but it just sort of keeps pinning itself to the mid-range and then fires in a wild movement and then repins and then fires in a wild movement and then repins. So I'm interested to see if that trend continues tomorrow or several days into the future, and what sort of motion that puts in. In other words, does that, do those big movements add up to sort of a retracement for the bears, sort of add up to being able to work through some of this selling action that continuously the stock is running into in this range? That's sort of like TBD. That's what we're gonna have to wait to see. I always get some comments that are like, you don't know what the stock is going to do. And it's like, that's correct. This is not a future telling channel. This is not, we're not in the business of making predictions. These are levels to pay attention to and see what the price action does if and when it reaches these levels. That's the best that I can do. It's not a, hey, this is going to this exact price point. That would be just an insane thing to be saying. And I would say that if anyone is telling you that, I would be really, really skeptical of it. All right, folks, I hope that your trading week is going well. And as always, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.